The last show of no, that's not the right way to say it. Welcome back to GSX 2019, live from Chicago. The last show for Wednesday. My next guest, what's your name, sir?
Jason Destein.
Of course it is. And what's your website and company name?
Company name is Securable Alternatives. Website is www.securablealternatives.com.
Now, little inside baseball. You were one of my earliest interviews back in the day.
Back in the day.
And I think you were Siemens back then or something way back.
It was something. I forget.
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
Yeah. And we started coming up with this concept of, what's the definition of prevention? And at the time, the word prevention was an ugly word. Oh, no, we can't prevent things. We can only look at them and hope we can do this and we can respond. And I always said baloney to that. I always said,
right,
if you have enough data, of course you can prevent things. And now you've kind of moved into this space, and you're one of the cheerleaders in this. And I think it's significant that we listen to this voice.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind words. I really do. It's something that I am so passionate about. I really believe that we can prevent a lot more and a lot better than what we're doing today. We just concluded a session upstairs on violence prevention in schools specifically, but we had 50 people in the room, and we asked them when they first came in, how many people here truly believe that we can prevent acts of violence?
What was your response?
Like 3 hands went up.
That's all.
And then we went through it, and then like an hour afterwards at the end, I'm like, at this point, after seeing what we've shown you today, how many believe that better prevention is possible now? And
right.
Like 18, 19, 20 hands have gone up. And that was a bit, I'm like, wow, that's great. We got something through. And I think we were able to convince the audience that, you know what, if we're going to continue to rely on the wonderful technologies that we have here, we're spending $3 billion a year in schools, and we're still seeing
$3 billion.
$3 billion
Wow.
in 2018. It was $749 million in 2014, right? $2 billion increase in 4
Right.
years. Yet we still registered 1.39 million acts of non-fatal violence in schools. There was zero decrease.
Wow.
So if we're going to continue adding all this technology, which is, I love it, it's great. But if we're not going to look at the data, if we're not going to make any data-driven decisions, we're never going to prevent anything from happening. And we gave some great analogies. The one thing we looked at was, with all this technology we have, it's kind of like the goal line stand. Like the threat is on the doorstep, but let's hope it can start preventing now.
Right.
Like you're never going to win. So then we moved out a little bit, and like the red zone in football, right? You can prevent a little bit more. But if you go get the bad guy beyond the 50-yard line, you have so many more options. You can identify so many more red flags in the community per se, and you can prevent a lot more. Maybe not everything, but a lot more. So,
well, let's define prevention. I mean, that's a slidable word. It can mean a lot of things. Here's one definition to me. If I had gunshot detection here, and it alerted everybody that some guy had a 45 over there, and he killed 2 people over there, but now the 100 other people got away, that's prevention to me. A lot of people will say, no, that's absolutely not prevention. That's just mitigation, right? So there's different levels of this. What's your definition of that? Because I think that's important.
To me, you can't prevent anything until you have identified red flags in the community, red flags in the school, and looking at the right data. Just as prevention has a sliding definition, what's a threat assessment? Is it a consultant going in and saying, okay, I've done this threat assessment, your biggest threat is active shooter?
Right.
Well, it's a no-brainer. Like, I was going to say that. What are you basing that information on? What data have you analyzed? What have you really...
It's just one opinion.
It's just one opinion, right? We interchange threat assessment, risk assessment, vulnerability assessment. We interchange those words all the time. And as a school, they have no idea. So until we really define all these categories, we're just going to continue throwing money at the problem. We're never going to make any difference. So for me, prevention is really, it's a compilation of how much data do we collect, how much information can we really look at and say, I know this information because I have the data. I can now go out and deploy technology that will help me not only prevent, but deter and detect and deny with a lot more confidence.
Right.
And that is such a huge advantage. And I don't see that happening today.
Tell us what some of that data is that people are not thinking about right now.
Right. So when you look at it at a school standpoint, we have bullying, we have acts of hate, we have fights, people are bringing weapons, there's drug usage, there's gangs, there's assault, all these different things, right? If we look at them as individual statistics and do nothing with it, it's just an individual statistic.
Good point.
But if I can show you that, Johnny or Janie over here is on this pathway to violence based on the occurrences of bullying, hate, weapons, and absenteeism and truancy and, social media posts and ideate, those individual occurrences mean nothing individually, but when I collect them and put them together and deploy that information upstream quickly to a threat assessment team or a mental health provider or a principal or whoever it may be, you can make a really good informed decision like, hey, I have a lot of useful data. This person's on a pathway to violence. I need to intervene and prevent this, whatever it may be, from occurring and get them to a better place where their mental health can be evaluated better or they're just in a better place.
I got a trick question for you.
Lay it on me.
Is the absence of data itself?
It could be. It very well
here's
could
what
be.
I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about the quiet guy that we don't hear about. He doesn't say anything. He's too quiet. He's too withdrawn from the group. He's too socially disconnected.
Yeah.
And maybe his non-participation is a red flag.
It very well could be. So I have a really unique perspective. I get to be a substitute teacher, and I get to go into schools every once in a while, and I get to see kids performing and acting. And there was one student who was so quiet in the classroom. Like, I was there all day. He was just so quiet. But the one thing that brought him out of his shell, he loved to type. So there's kids that are out there who are quiet, but when you find what gets them turned on a little bit and gets them excited, they are more than happy to come out and be who they want to be.
Right.
So we can't look at it and say, are they troubled? It's just a matter of how do we engage kids to get them out of their comfort zone a little bit and open up and get information out of them, good or bad, but we need to provide everyone talks about school climate. If we don't measure these things, if there's no qualitative or quantitative approach, you can spend $6 billion a year. It's not going to make a darn bit of difference.
Well, listen, they measure what pizza I like and give me that on Facebook, right?
Right.
And they spend a lot of money doing that. And I saw that special on Netflix about, what was that called? The Great Hack?
Yep.
And every American has 5,000 data points that Google collects on us and Facebook collects, right?
Right.
Why don't we have 5,000 data points on school behavior? We should.
It's out there.
And if
we're
it's
just
there,
not
we can do
collecting
things with it. Yeah.
It's out there. We're just not
Gotta
looking at it in the right perspective.
Yeah.
It's all linear. It's all disparate. And until we make that choice to say we need to collect this in a more meaningful way and make a decision with more data, same problems. Can't have
Mr.
it.
Jason, securealternatives.com.
Yep.
Excellent. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Always do. Thank you.
Prevention is not an impossible word, so listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday for the final day here at GSXX Live. GSXXX. Why don't you tell us to take us out? Go ahead.
Come back tomorrow. Don't miss it. GSX 2019, Chuck Harold, Security Guy TV, the #1 place to get your message out there if it's security related. You got to come back and check him out.
He's hired.
Thank you.
He's hired. Take us out.